네, 안녕하세요. 코치텐입니다. 기억영어 49회차 스노우볼 챌린지 시작하겠습니다. 오늘은요, 회사 관련된 공간 중에 네 번째 공간, 공장입니다. 공장. 뭐 창고가 될 수도 있고 사람마다 다르니까요. 저는 제 기억 속에 공장에서 일했던 걸 가지고 와서 해볼게요. factory. 그러면 공장에 있는 기억볼도 3개, 하나, 둘, 셋, 4개네요. 4개. 4개를 먼저 갖고 와서 하겠습니다. 바로 시작할게요. 자, 팩토리 공장에 4개의 기억 폴더가 있는데 첫 번째는요. 정문, 메인 게이트, 정문이랑 그 다음에 그 옆에 지게차, 포클리프트라고 하는데 지게차, 그 다음에 에어 컴프레셔, 그리고 그 다음에 소화기 이렇게 4개가 있습니다. 자, 그러면 일단 오늘 거 4개 먼저 하고 들어갈게요. 공장에서 쓰는 거는 거의 비슷하니까 계속 반복될 겁니다. 어렵지 않아요. 자, 준비. 할 말 떠올리고 go. I go to the factory. I go to the main gate of the factory. I open the main gate. I close the main gate. I lock up the main gate. I unlock the main gate. There's a forklift next to the main gate. I go to the forklift. I get on the forklift. I start the engine. I drive the forklift. And I use the forklift to work. There is an air compressor next to the main gate. I go to the air compressor. I turn on the compressor. I use the compressor. I turn off the compressor. There is a fire extinguisher next to the main gate. I go to the fire extinguishers. I pick up the fire extinguisher and I check the expiration date and I put it back on the rack. 됐습니다. 네, 4개 다 했죠? 자, 그러면 사무실, 미팅룸, 그 다음에 직원 휴게실, 오늘 공장 요 3개까지 한 번에 가겠습니다. 준비. 할 말 떠올리고요. Go. I go to the office. I get into the office. I go to my desk. I sit down at the desk. I get ready to work. I pick up my ID card. I put on my ID card around my neck. I use my ID card. I clock in. I clock out. I turn on my computer. I check my emails. I make a proposal to use my computers. I turn off my computers. I pick up a pen. I use the pen. I draw a mind map with the pen. I make a business plan. I use Excel. I use PowerPoint, the software program, and I print out the business plan. There is a calendar on the desk. I look at the calendar. I check the dates on the calendar. I check my meeting schedules with my clients. There are some business cards on the table, on the desk. I pick up some business card. I take out my wallet. I open my wallet. I put the business card into my wallet. I meet my coworkers. I see my coworkers. I say hello to them. I have a small talk with them. I go to the printer. I wait for a moment. I use the printer. I press the button. I copy the business plan. I go to the fax machine. I wait for a moment. I receive the fax from my customers. I send the fax to my customers. I go to the meeting room. I open the door. I get into the meeting room. I close the door. I turn on the light. I turn off the light. I turn on the switch in the meeting room. I turn off the switch in the meeting room. I stand in front of the reservation board. I look at the reservation board. I check the reservation board. I write down my name and time on the board. I book a meeting room. I go to the desk. I sit down at the desk. I check the time. I get ready for the meeting with my clients. I bring my computers to the table, to the meeting room. I open my laptop. I search for the presentation files and I use the PowerPoint. I close the laptop. I turn on the beam projector. I connect the beam projector to my computers. I turn off the beam projector. I use the beam projector. And I pick up a microphone. I turn on the microphone. I use the microphone. I turn off the microphone. I pick up a laser pointer. I use the laser pointer. I press the button. I keep holding on it. I go to the whiteboard. I stand in front of the whiteboard. I pick up a marker. I write down my ideas. I draw a mind map on the board. I pick up a marker. I use the marker. I pick up an eraser. I use the eraser. I go to the step lounge, the break room. I get into the break room. I check the time. It's break time. So I go to the water purifier. I stand in front of the water purifier. I press the button. I drink some water. I pick up a coffee mix. I open the coffee mix. I pour the coffee mix into the cup. I pour hot water into the cup. I stir it. I make a cup of coffee. I drink a cup of coffee. I pick up a paper cup. I use the paper cup. I pour some water into the cup. I drink some water. I go to the microwave. I go to the refrigerator. I open the refrigerator. I take out the orange juice. I close the refrigerator. There are some snacks on the trolley next to the refrigerator. I go to the trolley. I pick up some snacks. Open the snacks. I eat some snacks. And I go to the toaster. I use the toaster. I turn on the toaster. I put 2 slices of bread into the toaster. I wait for a moment, for 30 seconds, and I take out the toast from the toaster. And I go to the coffee machine. I use the coffee machine. I press the button. I make a cup of coffee. I drink a cup of coffee. I go to the sink. I turn on the water. I wash the dishes. I turn off the water. I pick up a glass cup. I pour the orange juice into the cup. I drink some orange juice. And 잠깐 날아갔네요. 자, 생각 좀 해볼게요. 오렌지 주스. Orange juice. Yes. I pick up a plate. I use the plate. I put the toast on the plate. I enjoy the toast. I pick up a fork and knife. I use the fork and knife. I put the toast on the plate. I use the fork and knife, and I have the toast with jam to use fork and knife. And I go to the trash can, open the trash can, I throw the trash into the trash can, I close the trash can. I go to the factory. I go to the main gate of the factory. I open the main gate. I close the main gate. I lock up the main gate. I unlock the main gate. There is a forklift next to the main gate. I go to the forklift. I get on the forklift. I start the engine. I drive the forklift. I use the forklift to work. There is an air compressor next to the main gate. I go to the air compressor. I turn on the air compressor. I use the air compressor. I turn off the compressor. There is a fire extinguishers next to the main gate for safety. So I pick up a fire extinguishers. I check the expiration date, and then I put it back on the rack. 됐습니다. 네, 양이 좀 많은데 잘 넘어간 것 같아요. 됐습니다.